Because look at Tracy Boy License. And today we're back in the video. This is part 6. And we're close to it.
Together. His goal was to get his daughter out of that neighborhood.
Anthony and Ashley's daughter is now 4 years old.
I can't wait till his daughter is going to be a part of these photos. We're going to be able to add so much more.
And it's dark. I can't even see this.
I've never met Anthony's daughter. Every single time we find a way to contact her, Ashley has stonewalled the crap out of us. I would love to meet her. She deserves to meet us. We're her blood family. She's very much a part of justice for Anthony.
As Tracy's trial draws near,
Hello? This is a prepaid call from
Wes,
an inmate at the Tulsa County Detention Center.
Wesley White makes a surprise decision.
They're gonna put me on the stand. Oh, really? Yeah. But they'll be using me on the prosecution side.
Okay, guys. Can't see me. It's kind of like static.
The DA just asked me if I would go in and let them know my side of the story safely, but I did. Okay. I put him on the ground and I hog-tied him.
What
Girl was 9 months pregnant, holding an 18-month-old baby. Okay? The dude was beating her up.
And I swear,
I just simply stopped her from getting
10
assaulted.
or 11, so we can do something about it. Okay?
You're gonna send me
I'm
home.
out.
I'm gonna tell my part of the story.
December 4th, 2018, Tracy Price's trial begins.
The first moment I knew that it was going to be emotional is when I saw Tracy. He just looked cold from day one to me. That's when I knew it was serious.
As one of its first witnesses, the prosecution calls Wesley White.
Wesley White's testimony was crucial because it gave the jury the moment-by-moment account of what happened, all the way to the time that Daryl and Wesley left the field where the body of Anthony was ultimately found.
Wesley testifies that when he and Daryl left Tracy at the crime scene, Anthony was still alive.
He said he heard that Anthony was screaming for help, was asking, let me go, and Tracy was continuing to beat on him at that point.
Tracy's lawyer, Robert Stubblefield, argues that Wesley isn't being truthful because he's hoping to get a reduced sentence for his cooperation.
It's not that I didn't believe him at all. I think he had other motivations. That's why it becomes so important for there to be other witnesses that will say, yes, what Wesley White said, that was true.
To corroborate Wesley's testimony, ADA Doss subpoenas his ex-girlfriend, Tana. On day 2 of the trial, ADA Jerdsma prepares to call Tana to the stand, but she never shows up.
She'd grown up with Tracy. They were childhood friends, and she did not want to be here.
She had to be arrested, and we only got her just at the very last minute of being able to put her on to testify.
I asked her, isn't it true that Tracy Price said it's taken care of? Isn't it true that Tracy Price said he dumped his body? And she paused. She looks over at Tracy and she breaks down crying.
She actually ultimately had to be treated as a hostile witness.
Eventually, after all that, she does admit that, yes, he said these things.
During his cross-examination of Tana, Stubblefield argues that, like Wesley, his ex-girlfriend is lying.
Defense counsel says, you're just making this up, aren't you? And she looked pensive and said, I wish I was making this up. Those are the kind of moments that can be powerful, that can make or break your case.
Finally, The state calls its last witness, medical examiner Dr. Jeremy Shelton. He testifies that it likely took hours for Anthony to die from strangulation.
The way that mechanism worked, as his legs got too tired to stay in an upward position bent at his knees, his lower legs would start to fall, and that began to strangle him.
When I first saw the photo of Anthony, I felt helpless. I couldn't imagine what he was going through the entire time.
I only saw those pictures once, but they are in my mind forever.
Like they kind of made him kill himself. Like that's sick. How could you defend that?
The third and last day of the trial marks the beginning of Tracy Price's defense. Defense attorney Robert Stubblefield calls his only witness, Tracy Price.
Seeing Tracy in trial was intense. Just seeing him like right in front of me. He was staring at us too, staring at us in our eyes. The defense strategy in the case was basically, this was a family matter. The Peels are the ones that did this. Mr. Price didn't have any idea what was ultimately going to happen, and that the people that should pay for this were the Peels.
Tracy admits to loading Anthony into Daryl's truck, but says he believed they were taking him to the police station.
He admitted a little bit, but tried to mitigate his involvement, trying to back off of anything that would make him fully guilty of the crime.
After hearing Tracy's testimony, Doss decides to pursue a conviction of first-degree felony murder.
If you are in commission of certain felonies that are inherently dangerous, and that person dies, you are guilty of first-degree felony murder. In this instance, that felony was kidnapping.
Julie Doss cross-examined him, and she ripped him apart.
Didn't you put him in the back of the pickup truck? Yes, I did. Didn't you go with them out to the North Yale address? Yes, I did. Weren't you the last one at that address? Yes, I was. So at that point, I was finished.
The jury must now determine if the state has done enough to prove that Tracy is guilty of felony murder.
Tracy Price was the last one on the scene.
That was his chance.
It was.
And he blew it.
In his own testimony, he said, I did nothing to stop this. And when you're that complicit, you're guilty. Plain and simple. You're guilty.
After just 2 hours of deliberation, the jury finds Tracy guilty of first-degree felony murder and recommends life in prison without parole.
It had to be without parole.
We just felt that strongly.
We did not want anybody like him out on the streets ever again.
It was a feeling of relief that justice was served for Anthony, and hope for the family that they would get some type of peace as a result of that verdict. I miss him. I wish he was here. I'll later happen.
You have a family that's essentially been torn apart. Tara lost her son, and as a parent, that's probably got to be one of the worst things in life, is to lose your child.
He wasn't a dad. He didn't even get an opportunity. I don't think justice has been served because Ashley is still acting like nothing happened. Ashley, just come out of hiding and let us see Anthony's daughter. She deserves to get to see pictures of her dad. She should get to know that whole part of her.
Bye, Anthony. We all love you and miss you.
Rest easy, bub. Once my mom finally gets to have his daughter in our lives again, like when she has that piece of Anthony, that'll put her back together completely. I truly believe that.
Bye, Anthony. Love you. Love you so much.
What's the old Washington Commanders name? Oh.
He's right inside the front door. She woke up to him yelling, "Call the police, call the police."
An 80-year-old man found murdered inside his home,
It's a lot to get shot 4 times.
with his wife hiding just in the other room.
Oh God, there's baby in my house.
I will remember that morning for the rest of my life.
Detectives act on a hunch to find the suspect.
There had to be some sort of tie to this residence. Detective Ritter started following up. This was just a shot in the dark. I need to talk to him. I'm this guy. I'm a bot, so I do.
As new evidence reshapes the prosecution's strategy,
Katie had picked up on the pattern of shots. Every shot he fired, he had a chance to change his mind, to stop.
the defendant goes against his lawyer's advice.
Kevin had prepped us, and when they found out he was going to take the stand, that it was going to be crazy.
And implicates his own family in the murder.
It was like he was on fire and he was taking cups of gasoline and pouring them on himself.
For those most affected by a homicide, the first 48 is just the beginning. This is the story of the fight for justice in the weeks, months, and years after the first 48.
There's been a shooting right next door to me. A guy screaming out there. Can you hear? Can you hear it? Oh God! There's baby in my house. I think baby called me. The baby's my husband. Hurry!
Do you know who shot the vehicle?
It's in my house.
Okay, get in the bathroom, get in the closet, make sure you're locked inside. Okay?
Please hurry.
We have one officer on scene. We have many more on the way, okay?
Police enter the home and find an elderly man lying on the floor, shot dead.
That's in their den. The last time that I saw him, that was less than a month before he died. We're a very close family. The house that we grew up in with the nice yard and the picket fence and the dog. It was the American dream. You could go ride around the neighborhood and you wouldn't come home until dark and you didn't worry about it. That's one of those. Yeah, we've got that framed. They had been in that house 48 years. A lot of good memories.
We had Thanksgiving at their home every year. The spare bedroom was, we called it our bedroom, the granddaughters. It just felt like home.
Home is no longer that house.
It's not the same, and it never will be the same. The room where it happened, our bedroom, it made it very difficult to go back to that house.
Right now, all we've got is that it sounds like a home invasion and an elderly male has been shot and killed. In the early hours of June 11th, 2018, I got a phone call from my supervisor, and I was up to be the lead for the next case. My name is Jason White. I'm a homicide detective with the Tulsa Police Department. This is really a nice neighborhood over here. When the homicide detectives finally get there, we're getting there in the neighborhood of probably 6:30 or 7 in the morning. You got a lot of different people that are showing up, from crime scene to fingerprint examiners to other detectives.
He's right inside the parking lot. So he collapsed right here. This is where they found him.
Where'd you say the wife was?
She's right across the street. She's not shot.
What's his name?
Rosenlieb.
80-year-old Jim Rosenlieb was born in West Virginia and had a long career in the oil supply business. During retirement, he was an active volunteer with Habitat for Humanity and a devout member of his church. Jim leaves behind his wife, 2 sons, and several grandchildren.
One to the chin, and I think they said there was one in his back.
I'm not seeing cartridge casings, and then
a flashlight right by his head.
But how did this bad guy get in?
This window over here.
A blood trail leads from the living room to the guest room, where a window has been broken.
Carefully cut on the screen, but then the glass is also broken going out.
All the other windows were shut and locked, and all of the other doors were locked inside the residence. It looked to us that the killer had exited the residence through the same entry point that they had entered.
First blood shots right there in that closet.
There was a significant concentration of blood that was located right at the closet doors. That's likely where the first shot had occurred.
I think what he did is he broke it here to get to the lock, slides this way, cuts the top and side to get in.
So cool out of place.
This garden, yeah.
There was a house located directly to the west. Found a Gatorade bottle that was laying on the ground. The lady of the house that lived there actually had been in her backyard the day before, and she said that was not there the day before. All right, let's get that dusted for prints too. We went ahead and had that collected in the hopes that maybe it's going to lead to something.
To me, it looks like a burglary. It's weird because the closet door is open and the blood's right there.
I think it's possible that the suspect is hiding in that closet, maybe.
To me, that seems pretty likely.
All right, I'm going to go talk to the wife. The police took her over to the neighbor's house, which was located across the street. Absolutely in a state of shock. That's how I would characterize that. Yet she was able to be strong enough to be able to answer my questions and try to help me despite all of that. She just says that she woke up to him yelling, "Call the police, call the police." And then she heard some shots and glass breaking.
The last 3-4 weeks, he's had a lot of work done in his backyard, different crews.
5 hours in, a neighbor comes forward with a possible lead.
What kind of work was he having done, do you know?
Tree trimming, painting, yard work, bluff people.
Thank you very much. Maybe there's a business card or something. Very good.
On the kitchen counter, A crime scene tech finds a card for a tree trimming service.
Hey, Justin, I need you to check out this tree trimming service. One of the good things about our unit is just teamwork.
Hey, man, my name's Justin Ritter. I'm a detective with the Tulsa Police Department.
Detective Ritter immediately reached out and tried to talk to the owner, find out who was working at the house.
Is there somewhere that I can meet up with you for a few minutes? My name is Justin Ritter. I was working as a homicide detective at the time. I was assisting Detective Jason White on this case. All right, well, I'll head your way, man. That card brought my interest up a little bit because there still had to be some sort of tie to this residence. I thought to myself, you know, it's kind of out of the box. This could pan out. Sorry to bother you, man. Do you have any idea why I would want to talk to you?
No. Mr. Rosenlead is the victim in this deal. See, somebody does a burglary on his house. The suspect has a gun, ends up shooting. He says he worked on the Rosenlead's house over a month earlier.
The night was real nice. I mean, they made us lunch, like BLTs and everything. That they use Rick Davidson.
The guy that owns the tree trimming company, he often utilizes work from the temp agencies and such, but he remembered the name of this particular employee that worked for him.
I remember that because he cut through my rope on accident. What was your feel about him?
During the conversation, he tells me that he actually owes Ricky money, but he hadn't been able to get a hold of Ricky. Obviously, that's weird. You're going to want your money for work. So that kind of piqued my interest on Ricky.
You live in Elmer's Inn.
I never had it where someone was so smart they pre-planned a murder attack. But no, not a lawn service, tree trimming service, painter. I never had that.
Detectives Max Ryan and Justin Ritter head to Ricky's address.
Can't see because it's dark. Ford. I can't see black.
Dad was the only person that dog actually liked.
3 years after Jen's murder, his family remembers getting the news.
So I was in San Francisco. I got a call from my brother, 5:30 in the morning. I spoke very briefly to my mother. I will remember that morning for the rest of my life.
First great-grandchild.
My daughter that lived in Fort Worth, she came in as soon as she was told. So we were able to stay together as a family through those first few days.
My ear is that day at my office. So that's how I found out. Thank God I told him personally. It's just shocking.
When we got to Tulsa, Mom was over at a friend's house. We were able to just see her and hold her and hug her. It's so hard to comprehend how something like that can happen.
Got an address. started following up on the tree trimming angle. This was just a shot in the dark. Have you seen Ricky tonight? Who's Gatorade though? I guess I'll check back tomorrow or something like that. I need to talk to him, so I'm just gonna have to think I'm about to talk to him. Alright?
Detective Ritter continues to go into the house looking for Ricky.
I went by there several times. Ricky's never there when I go by. We were kind of getting the runaround a little bit. But Detective Ritter immediately started having that feeling that something was not right with that situation.
11 hours remaining in the first 48.
What do you have for us, Joe?
We have 4 rolls in it. Corporal Joe Campbell shares news from the medical examiner.
Just said it was some red plastic stuff.
Front tip. What do they think of that? Already around.
Especially because it's got a red plastic tip. There we go. We've never seen one of these rounds before these murders that I can remember. It helps with aerodynamics, and it's a really high-end self-defense round, so it probably does a lot of damage and to kill people. It tells us a lot about the perpetrator. That's a lot for an 80-year-old man to get shot 4 times. You know, even though he's in incredible shape for his age, that's a lot for your body at 80 years old to be able to deal with.
That's the first 48 hours winding down.
I'm going to submit everything I've got, but we don't have that person that we're looking for yet. This is a difficult, challenging case. It's like working a 1,000-piece puzzle. The more of the puzzle pieces that you get, the more it paints the picture. I'm Detective Wright, Cross Police Department.
Detectives spend the next several days chasing leads.
We don't know of anybody that's been involved in anything like that. A couple of different burglary crews did rub it into some places that were relatively close and realized quickly thereafter that they weren't going to be involved.
But are they closer to identifying their suspect?
I guess we'll hit it again tomorrow.
9 days to the investigation.
The investigation's still going on. Jason's chasing his leads. Other guys are doing their thing. I just got a text message.
Someone who says they have information on the case wants to meet with Ritter.
He told me who he is. Basically, this kid wanted to clear his conscience. So we're going there and see what we can get. What's going on? What do you think that? He told me that he overheard the confession between Ricky and his father. Ricky said he killed an 80-year-old man. We have murders